goal setting and planning. Thank you. Toastmasters, I'm a bit choked up now from my own story. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, before we start, just a bit of small print, just to go over what Sandra said. My speech tonight is from the Advanced Leadership Manual, Goal Setting and Planning. And it sets out a series of presentations that address the subject of leadership. Now, in these presentations, we discover how we can all find the skills that we need to become successful leaders, both inside and outside of Toastmasters. So when did you last plan something? We do it all the time, aren't we, without even realising. Probably planning in your head right now what you're going to be doing later, or tomorrow, or the weekend, or perhaps what you're going to be saying next time it's your turn to come up here and speak. If it's your first visit to the club tonight, maybe you even planned your journey here using your sat-nav. Well, my speech tonight is entitled Goal Setting and Planning, and that's certainly something that applies to us here at Toastmasters. As I'm sure you're aware, at the start of each Toastmasters year, a club success plan is drawn up and agreed upon. And this kind of planning permeates right through the club to our own personal goals, whether it be writing your first speech, completing a manual, or perhaps taking on more responsibility inside the club. Now, when we look at successful leaders, we can see they achieve their aims by really focusing on what it is that they want. And the secret of their success often lies in their ability to plan and achieve certain goals. The goal is a specific objective you wish to achieve, and the plan is the blueprint for how you want to get there. So tonight, in the best traditions of Toastmasters and the power of three, I'm going to share with you 3 experiences where I've had to set a goal for myself and make a plan, and how the success of these depended on how good or bad my planning was, and what valuable lessons I learnt from my experiences that I'd like to share with you. For my first example then, I'd like you to come back with me now, through the mists of time. Yes, to all of 5 years ago, just when we moved here actually. To a time when I hadn't even heard of Maidenhead Speakers. I didn't even know what Toastmasters was. Can you imagine? My life was empty. But seriously though, I think at the time I was looking for a new challenge, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. All I knew was I wanted something that would lift me out of my comfort zone and enhance my personal growth, which I'm sure is the number one reason why you're all here tonight too. But luckily, a very, very close and dear friend of mine had the inspired idea that we should both try public speaking. I remember doing a Google search at the time about this, rather hesitantly, and one word kept appearing over and over again on the screen. Yes, Toastmasters. As I looked into it some more, I was amazed to see there was actually a Toastmasters Club right here in my hometown of Maidenhead, thanks to Norman here. I looked at their website and I thought about it some more, and I just knew there and then that there was absolutely no way in a million years I was ever going to be doing that. Can you imagine? It's embarrassing, wouldn't it? Standing there in front of these clever people. I've never much liked being the centre of attention. I was sure I'd make a fool of myself in public, which I'm very good at doing. But my friend she was much less pessimistic and much braver than me, and she enrolled in the club first, and she told me it was nothing like the way I'd envisaged it. It was a supportive environment, and it was fun, and you really could learn some new skills that you could take away with you and use outside. But for me personally, I suppose I was worried about my stammer, which I've had since the age of 10. Now over the years I've become quite good at masking it, but I hope. But if I'm stuck speaking in front of a room full of people, it might not be so easy. But then it dawned on me, yes, joining Toastmasters was the exact thing I should be doing to finally face up to this fear and overcome it. That would be my goal then, my first goal. I'll walk into the room, I'd join the club, and I'd get there and speak and see what happened. I mean, I could always run away, couldn't I? And never come back, which I didn't do, of course. Now, there was a plan. Now, this might not sound like much of an obstacle to overcome to some of you, but to me, it was like a giant leap into the unknown, and one I'm so glad now that I took. I'm sure most of you had similar fears when you first walked into a Toastmasters meeting, and you overcame them too, just like I did. Now, once I started to speak into my first rather nervous table topic, which I get to do tonight, something really shifted for me, but I wasn't quite aware of it at the time. I think I was too scared to even know my own name. I admit it probably wasn't the greatest table topic that's ever been heard in the history of Maidenhead speakers, but I knew from this shaky start I could only improve and get better. I didn't even stammer, and I felt amazing. Now I really had something meaningful to strive for. Goal number 1 had been achieved somehow. My Toastmasters career was off the ground. So what now would be next? Well, I was a Toastmaster now, and the world was my lobster. And I didn't have to look very far for my second goal, because it came very handily through the post in the shape of this, the old CC manual, how it looked back then. Well, as I looked through the manual and saw the 10 speeches laid out in front of me, I knew this was exactly the challenge I'd been looking for. And I set myself the goal of completing the manual in 2 years. But now I had to learn how to write a speech, and Toastmasters were there to help. Because not only did I get an excellent mentor, but the club president even gave up some of her time on a Saturday afternoon to meet me, to talk about the club and how it worked, and give me lots of support and encouragement, which I really appreciated at the time. And back at the club, I watched, I listened, and I learned, as I've done tonight and every time I come here, to all the amazing speakers that we have, and I felt so proud when I finally did my icebreaker, the first public speech I'd ever done in my life. So put your hand up. We had an icebreaker tonight from Samo, but put your hand up who felt scared just before you did your icebreaker. That's pretty much everyone. But keep your hand up then if you felt a sense of triumph when he completed it and he sat down. Absolutely, thank you. It's such a common experience here at Toastmasters, isn't it? And one we hear time and time again. If you've yet to do your icebreaker, you've still got this pleasure to come. Well, I enjoyed working through this manual and the challenge that each new speech presented. If I got stuck for ideas along the way, my friend was always there to help and to brainstorm new ideas with me. Always good to have someone like that. She also encouraged me to talk about subjects from my own personal experience. That was it. Make speeches personal. Make them authentic. Talk about what you know. It's much more interesting too for an audience if you're not afraid to highlight the weaknesses and the fears, rather than telling everybody how great you are and how much you know about everything, which is good for your ego, but maybe not so interesting for everybody else. Yeah, when I went to my first contest, I noticed that the speakers who were the most successful did just this, and they inspired the audience with their dignity and their courage and their words of wisdom. Well, I'm glad to say my planning worked, and I did finish the manual in 2 years. I became a competent communicator, and I even got a fancy badge for my efforts. I felt like I really earned my wings as a Toastmaster and I was flying high. I know I've grown as a person over those 2 years just by doing those 10 speeches, which I think is pretty amazing and shows how effective this programme is. So what on earth now was going to be my third goal? Well, it was obvious really, wasn't it? I spent 2 years enjoying the speeches for the CC manual, but I was yet to become a competent leader. That was the other manual, the one that looked like not so much fun and a bit more like hard work. Did I really have to do this one too? I decided emphatically yes. After all, Toastmasters is the organisation where leaders are made. And I've been given the opportunity to do just that, just as we all have. But clearly there was work to be done, and I saw when I went through it. I set myself the target then over the next Toastmasters year of completing the outstanding tasks that were left from the manual. And I made sure I brought it to every meeting, which is so important, and volunteered for any roles that were going. And they soon got ticked off one by one. I even volunteered to be the club's Sergeant at Arms for a year, which Lorraine is doing such a great job of at the moment. I felt so proud to be the first person to speak at every meeting, and to give everybody a warm welcome to the club. Again, a year or two earlier, I never would have envisaged doing that when I walked into this room and felt like a bit of an outsider. But now, I was a club sergeant at arms and I was really happy to be doing that role. I have to say, completing that manual felt like more of an achievement than completing the CC manual because, I don't know, I just thought that this would be too challenging for somebody like me. I don't really see myself as a leader. But now I said that I was. And what's more, I felt like a leader too. If you've yet to complete your CL manual, I expect there's a few of you still, I would encourage you to set yourself the target of bringing it to every meeting and becoming a competent leader too. It really does complete the full circle of the Toastmasters experience and gets you more involved in meetings, contests and the running of the club. Well now, I've completed my 3 goals. I'm feeling quite happy, but I'm not just going to put my feet up and relax and go away and think I've done all there is to be done. I'm gradually working through my advanced manuals, as I know many of you are too, and by performing this speech tonight, I would have achieved my 4th goal, as Sandra mentioned earlier, of earning my Advanced Leadership Bronze Award. Well, thank you so much for listening to my speech tonight about goal setting and planning, wherever you might be on your own Toastmasters experience. I would encourage you too to set some Toastmasters goals for yourself if you haven't done already, whether it be writing your next speech, becoming a competent leader, or perhaps even striving to be the next club president, a role that's open to everybody in this room. Every time we take to this stage and speak and listen and learn from others, we are increasing the contents of our Toastmasters toolbox and becoming better leaders and better communicators in the process. Every time we complete one goal, well, as we've seen, there's always another goal waiting for us around the corner, should we wish to embrace it. Decide what your next goal is. Make your blueprint and set your sat-nav for your own personal and unique transfiguration of Toastmasters success, fulfillment and leadership. It's a Toastmaster.